So, friends, this week is going to be last week as far as teaching is concerned, here, semester 3. So, this is the last week where we are supposed to wind up the syllabus, and so far we have done it. We have been dealing with for the last week eponyms, and we discussed few eponyms. Today, again, we will see the eponyms. Just quickly, we will revise the eponyms that we have already discussed in the previous class, and also we will learn some new eponyms. So our target today is that up to 20 eponyms we will complete today, and in the next class again 10 more eponyms we will discuss. So total our target is to prepare or study 30 eponyms, 30, and there the syllabus ends. Today we will revise before we learn new eponyms. And these are eponyms, but these are also very uh, important words in English language. And we have to focus on the meaning of the words. And you might have enjoyed that how interesting it is to know the history of the word, the etymology, or say the origin of the word. So this is how words are coined in the language, and then they become permanent member in the language. So the words that we discussed in the previous class, a few eponyms. So we can have the sense that how words come from person name, from place name, or from character's name from the famous play, and then they become a word, and then people start using them in the day-to-day life. Starting with the eponyms, what does it mean? The name which is derived from the person name or any place name or any famous character's names. We discussed, friends, Bowdlerize. Now, what is the best way to remember the words, the meaning? Now, it is very interesting. The moment you come across the word Bowdlerize, you you should be reminded of the person Thomas Baudelaire. So associate every word with a person or place from which it has come from. So it will be far more easy. So it is a story. Each word carries an independent story with it. So you don't try to mug up or memorize the meaning of the word. You have to remember this word, in the context. So you have to remember the story that Baudelaire has come from the Thomas Baudelaire. What he has done, he has published edition of the Shakespeare in 1818, and in which he had omitted or excluded, removed some abusive words. So what does it mean? So Baudelaire means to remove any abusive, unsuitable words from any work, be it movie or be it a book or anything, drama, play. So Baudelaire means to remove abusive words, offensive words. In other words, in English, it is also called expurgation. So please remember here, in two ways you will be asked question in exam. Number one, there will be direct question that what does the word Baudelaire mean? So we'll have four options. Expurgation, error in writing, full of energy, cruelty. This will be four options. So the correct one is the expurgation. So you have to choose the expurgation. Number one, that is one way of asking you questions in exam. Second method is that you will be asked in a different way. Let's say, for example, you will be asked direct statement that to remove unnecessary offensive words from any play or book is called a blank. Then you will have four options: uh, Machiavellian, braggadocio, Bowdlerize, or modeling. Okay, so you should be reminded of that to remove unnecessary words or unsuitable words from the play. It means Bowdlerize. So you have to choose Bowdlerize. So in this way, you can remember words. So no need to pressurize your mind. In pressure, nothing can be remembered. You enjoy, have a fun with it. Then and then only you can remember. So Bowdlerize, what does it mean? Now it is a verb. Now the process of Bowdlerizing. So you can add ed, you can make it, convert it into past form. You can add ing, so it becomes Bowdlerized or Bowdlerizing or will Bowdlerize. So it is a verb. You should always, uh, remember the part of speech. Any word you learn, you must also know, along with the meaning, which part of speech is. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective, or is it a verb? So this word is verb. Okay. So we will do revision today. It is going to be very interesting because these words are very important. Now, not for the exam, but in your regular life. Because in the future, when you will read something, newspaper or any book, so you are bound to come across these words. Over and again, you will see a newspaper and any article if you are reading online. These words will come in your reading. So this word, please remember, it is a verb. It means expurgation, to remove unsuitable words from any place. Now boycott, you see, you can this word has become so popular. It has a negative form. It is also a verb. Now see, today you can associate this word with the current present scenario as what's happening in the France. You see the protest throughout the world. Certain community protesting the prime minister of the France. So it is boycotting. What they say, that boycott France products. So you can, what happening currently in the world, you can, as in India, we say that boycott Chinese products. So what does it mean to refuse to buy Chinese products or to refuse to buy France product made in France? So boycott is in that way. So how it has come? It has come from Charles Boycott. And Charles Boycott, he did not believe or did not accepted the reforms, land reforms in 1880s. So people who were in favor of the reform excluded Charles Boycott. Means they removed Charles Boycott from their concern. And Charles Boycott was then boycotted by the people. So from there it became the boycott. Boycott means to remove, to refuse. So not taking part into any meeting, not attending any meeting, not attending any activity, not buying products of particular country, that is called boycotting. During the independent movement in our country, we boycotted British products. Swaraj, Gandhiji, and all that we know. So in that way, you associate the word with the incident, with the history, and words can be remembered. So boycott is very easy word. Now braggadocio, it is real. It is also again very easy. See, there is a word bragging, B-R-A-G, brag. Brag is a verb. Brag means to boast. Boast means to talk about yourself. You praise yourself, self praise, and you express yourself in front of the people as if you know everything and you are very talented, you are very skillful, and you share your stories. And that type of attitude or mindset the people have is called braggadocio. Because in Edmund Spenser has written one play, and in epic, it is Epic Fairy Queen. In that epic, there was one character, braggadocio. So braggadocio used to brag. Brag means boast about his own achievements. So from that, it is brag is a word. Brag means to boast. It is a verb, and from that, the word has come braggadocio. So braggadocio is an adjective. Okay, it is an adjective. Braggadocio, tendency, braggadocio, nature. He is a braggadocio man. Your braggadocio uh, will not have any impact on me. You can say your braggadocio means your way of praising yourself or talking about your excellence is not going to impact me anymore. So braggadocio in that way is used. So sometimes it can be used as an adjective or as a noun. It is not a verb. Bragging is a verb. Bragging, G is doubled and ing is added. Bragging, brag. So it is the constantly talk about your achievements, your skills, and your talent. So it is boasting. Some people have such a type of character nature that they boast about themselves. Then we discussed the word was Byzantine, very famous. Again, associate this word with the Turkey, Istanbul. And there was a very ancient empire, Byzantine Empire, and it was very complex, complicated. In that way, this word also means something complex, something complicated, like labyrinth, very difficult to understand. So Byzantine is an adjective. So Byzantine person, Byzantine book, Byzantine way of explanation, Byzantine manner, Byzantine movie. It can be anything Byzantine. Byzantine means it is something very difficult. I saw a movie last night, it was Byzantine. Means that I saw a movie but which was very difficult to understand. I read a Byzantine book. Means the book that I read was very difficult to understand. I did not understand anything. So that means Byzantine. The chauvinist. Chauvinist is very famous word. Chauvinism, it is also called chauvinism or chauvinist. Chauvinist again an adjective. Now there is also another word, it is called jingoism. Jingoism is extreme and passion, love for the nation. Patriotism, patriotism at the extreme level. That is called jingoism. Now jingoism is exclusively used for the nation, love for the nation, patriotism. Chauvinist is common. It is used for anything. Love for sports, love for religion, love for nation, love for study, for anything. The chauvinist means extreme passion about something. For example, Nicholas Chauvin. Nicholas Chauvin was a soldier in Napoleon's army, and he was very passionate what he was, and he was very committed to his duty, and he was devoted. He was 100% devoted to his duty. So that is called chauvinist. If you are chauvinistic in your study, that means that you give priority, you give importance to your study. So that means that except your study, you do not consider anything other things to be important. Means that there is nothing important than your study. That is called chauvinist. You think that if you love your country and you think that my love for the country is the most important thing than anything else in the world for me, that is chauvinistic attitude. Okay, if you say that the religion I am in, or I follow, or I believe in is the most important religion in the world, other religion, so that is chauvinist. Excessive or extreme belief in something, that is called chauvinist or chauvinism. That type of tendency or attitude is called chauvinism. Or draconian. Very easy. Now you associate this word with the Saudi Arabia and North Korea. What is there in the Saudi Arabia and North Korea? In these particular nations, there are strict laws, very harsh and strict laws. If anybody found guilty for committing any crime, then he will have to go through a very severe punishment. So there are laws and enforcement which are very harsh, which are very strict, which are very severe, more than necessary. Okay, so even a person cannot, think of committing crime. Thinking before he will commit crime, he will think of the punishment. So that type of punishment is called draconian punishment, very strict punishment, draconian laws. How it has come? It has come from the Draco. He was Athenian king, and in his kingdom he had, the provision of the harsh and very strict laws at that time in the Greece. So from that name Draco, it has become the Draconian. Okay. Indian in that way. So Draco, Draconian, the one who follows the, the Draco's laws and enforcement, that is Draconian. So it is also an adjective. Draconian means an adjective. It is used for the laws and enforcement which are very strict, which are very severe, very intolerable. Then we have word like epicure. Now this is very easy, all of you are familiar with it. One who is fond of taste of the food, who loves eating tasty food, who loves not only eating. You might have heard the word gastronomy. Gastronomy means the art of cooking and the anything related to cooking. It is called gastronomy. There is also another word I forgot that a person who loves eating all the time. Epicure does not mean a person who loves food. Emphasis is on the taste, who loves good food. Epicure person will not eat anything anytime. A secure person is one who loves good food, tasty food, and delicious food. That is called Epicure. Because Epicurus, a Greek philosopher, was the fond of food, and who said that is the highest pleasure. You eat, drink, and be merry. So tasty food can give you pleasure. A Epicure person is one who takes pleasure in eating delicious, tasty food. That is Epicure. Then we discussed the word galvanize, how important this word is. You see, again you will have mesmerize, hypnotize. Now, what does it mean? They are negatively used sometimes. It has galvanize as negative tone, or it can also be used positive in positive terms. Now, galvanize means, see, frogs' legs contracted in an electric field. Now, electric word is used here. Electric means, uh, see, when you go to electric shock, what happens? It affects your entire body. No? When you read something, you watch a movie, you read a drama, play, or you come across something very interesting, or when suspense is disclosed in the movie or in the book, what happens? Your body gets thrilled, you know. So that type of electric current, So galvanize is this. You give a type of speech so effective, so uh, elaborative, so stylish that people will be ready to do what you tell them to do. That is called galvanize. But it has negative tone. You galvanize people in order to achieve the favor of the people. So politicians galvanize people, public, to motivate, to inspire a crowd, a public, or a group, or any person. In what motivate them to do what you want them to do. For example, if you are a politician, you want what? You want maximum votes in order to win the election. So you will give public talk in such a way that people will be galvanized. You will make fake promises and you know in advance that, what the public you are addressing need, what do they want. Accordingly, you will prepare your speech and you will you know, deliver it, and people's minds will be converted into your favor. So that is called galvanize. They will be People will be very happy and they will be very thrilled, and they will be then in your support. They will be ready to vote in your favor because you have changed their mindset by your speech, by your talk. That is called galvanizing. Motivating people in that way. So that is galvanize. Slightly there is a thin line between galvanize and mesmerize. When you will come across the word mesmerize. So galvanize has come from the Italian philologist, and he had discovered that thing, how it affects our body, that we get thrilled sometimes. Then gerrymander, how interesting. The moment you come across gerrymander, you should remember America. Okay. Just one day to go. Today it is 2nd November. Tomorrow it is 3rd November. By the evening tomorrow, you will have the result of the election in America, because it is the most superpower nation in the world. So all eyes are there on the election of the America. One hand there is a Donald Trump, in Cuba, the current holder of the position, president of America, and then Joe Biden. So tomorrow things will be clear who will carry forward. So this has, see, in America, Gilbert Stewart had coined this. Elbridge Gerry was the governor in Massachusetts who had mischief, who had by cheating had done elections fix. So fixing the election. Now how elections are fixed. Okay, so each and every MP or MLA has given particular constituency, the regional area. Now by cheating, you can extend that boundary of the particular region, and you get maximum people then in your boundary, in your area. So you will get more votes. This is how it is done. So gerrymander means cheating in the election. If you remember the word cephalogist, cephalogist means P-S-E-P-H-O-L-O-G-I-S-T. Cephalogist. Cephalogist means one who studies election trends. Cephalogy or cephalogist. You must notice all those words you studied in the previous semester. Funambulist. Okay, so gerrymander means to cheating in election, by cheating win the election. Now Hector, again a Greece fighter. The moment you come across the word Hector, please remember that he was fighter in the Trojan War. Hector means, see, look at the name. Name itself has, the tone which is negative. Hector means to threaten people, to terrorize other people. For example, it is said that China's Hector attitude. He is terrorizing its neighboring countries. So, talk or behave in a loud way, in a confident manner, that you threaten other people, you terrorize other people, and tell them to do what you wish them to do. You expect that they should think and they should behave and they should do as you tell them to do, as you tell them to behave. They should uh, obey your what you say. That is Hector. Negative one. Some people have such gundaras, for example. That is called Hector. So Hector is also verb. Look at this. Don't hector me. Don't hector my friend. Don't terrorize my friend. धमकी आपकी. Hectoring. Then also add ing. So remember in the context. You remember the story, then you can remember the words. Now Luddite. You can see the pronunciation also given the same. Luddite Ned Ludd was an English laborer. Very interesting story behind this word. Luddite means Ned Ludd. Now see, during the 18th century there was what? Throughout the world there was industrial revolution. Revolution break out in the England. So what type of revolution it was? Invention of the machine. When the factories, people were replaced by the machine. So one labor who was working in the factory, he was opposed to it. He was against it, and he, in anger, destroyed, obliterated, or say, one weaving machine. In 1779. To show his disapproval, to show his opposition against the progress, against the industrial development. So his action of breaking the machine, destroying the machine, weaving machine, was the anger, the opposition towards the progress, the industrial revolution. So Luddite means to oppose the progress. Okay, see the example. Many Luddite criticize ISRO's missions. For example, India recently purchased rockets from the France. There were people who were Luddite opposing that thing. Recently, our government of India passed bills, reform bills, land bills for the farmers. Certain states are opposing it, so that is Luddite. Or any development, other development, if you oppose, that means you are Luddite. So that way we can remember. Associate this word with the person. Lynching, you know very well. without any legal procedure you kill somebody. Suppose somebody has committed one crime, he is found guilty, of course he is guilty, but in every nation there are laws, courts, and rules. Directly people are not punished. It has to pass through a certain time, certain procedures, evidence are gathered, and then and proof. The person till the time completely 100% proved that he is the guilty, then he will be punished. Till the time we have to wait. But without waiting, without collecting any evidence, without any legal procedure, you kill somebody, that is lynching. See, in one county means small regional area in the Pennsylvania. In the Pennsylvania, there was lack of court. There was no court available. Therefore, William Lynch uh, had done one agreement in the Virginia that if any person commits crime in the Pennsylvania, he will be lynched. He will be killed immediately without any court trial because there is no court. So from name of the William Lynch, this word has become part of the English language, lynching. You may come across this word on and off in the newspaper. People are lynched. It is a verb. You can add ed, you can add ing, lynching, mob lynching, for example, or the person was lynched. Okay, so that is lynching, means to kill somebody without law, without legal process. The Machiavellian villain, again a negative tone. The Machiavellian tendency is that you believe that you want to maintain your power, you want to maintain your status, or you want to achieve the power, and you believe that it is only possible if you deceive people. If you deceive other people, that means that you have to do immoral, unethical. That means that you Machiavellian person will believe that if you follow honest path or moral or ethical, then your power will be lost, or you cannot maintain your power by going through the choosing the honest path. So that is Machiavelli. Because Niccolo Machiavelli in his book The Prince had made one statement, and the statement was that if you want to achieve power or maintain power, then you will have to do some mischief. You have to deceive people. This is what we see politicians are doing. All the politicians, majority of them want to maintain their power, and therefore they can do anything. They can play any game. That is what Machiavelli means. Means in order to fulfill your selfish purpose of maintaining power, you will give up. You will eschew your morality, and you will choose the immoral path. That is Machiavelli. Absolutely, this word has negative tone. Malapropism, very interesting word. Mrs. Malaprop. We associate this word with the Mrs. Malaprop. Sheridan has written a very wonderful play. The title is Rival. In the Restoration time. So in that play, there is one character, Mrs. Malaprop. So in order to create humor, she would replace some words, or sometimes she would mispronounce deliberately, humorously, in order to create humor. See, in the example barking dogs, instead of dogs, there is word horses. That is in order to create humor. Barking horses seldom bite. Barking dogs seldom bite. So sometimes you change words, you change pronunciation of words deliberately in order to create humor. That is called malapropism. Malaprop has done this in the play Rivals, the character Malaprop. and from that time onward, this has become malapropism. You see, if you are reading articles in paper, Indian Express, The Hindu, or there is one article is given in humorous, in which things are written in malapropism manner to create humor, to amuse the reader. That is called malapropism. Then deliberately you exchange the word, misplace the word, misspell the word. If you speak, you mispronounce. If you write, you misspell. That is called malapropism. Your intention is to provide humor. Then Martinet, Jean Martinet, French, and Martinet means that you believe that your rules should be followed in any condition. Okay, you remember the example is very easy. The child's father. What he says: when I was child, I thought my father was a Martinet because he was constantly ordering me around the house. Sometimes rules are not necessary, but you give liberty. But Martinet person is one that he would never give liberty. He would think that in any condition, even if rules are not needed, people should believe. People should follow the rules and regulations. That is Martinet attitude. This is friend last word today, and then we will end. And new words we will discuss in the next class. Maudlins means very good over sentimentalism. You associate this word modeling with the crucifixion of Christ. When Jesus Christ was crucified, at that time there was one lady. She cried a lot, she wept a lot. There is a description in the Bible. So when you do not control your emotion and you then cry out, or you your tears come out from your eyes, you are too much sentimental about something, that is modeling. So movie can be modeling, book can be modeling, any scene can be modeling. You cannot control your emotion. When you start crying, you start weeping. You cannot stop your crying. That is sentimental. Something very tearful, uncontrollably tearful. That is called modeling. Sentiments. It is related to our emotions. So modeling means you cannot control that. How it is used? It is an adjective. Okay. You can say that he is a modeling person. What type of person? That he cannot control his emotions. He will cry immediately because he is sentimental. He cannot see others' pain, others' agony, others' sorrow. That is modeling. Over sentimental. So friends, here we keep very interesting. We revise the words. The words are very important. Few new words, few eponyms we will learn in the next classes. Okay, we have yet 2 more classes. So within the 2 sessions we will complete our eponyms. Here we end. Have a nice day. If you have any question you can ask. Otherwise you type your roll number in the chat box.